So, welcome to Silver Bow Publishing's launch for Ordinary Moving by Penn Kemp. We're excited that you're here to join us to celebrate this new release. My name is Megan Hakkinen. I'm a two-time world champion ultra cyclist and the author of two adventure memoirs. Silver Bow Publishing is an independent creative book publisher committed to publishing great literature in all genres. Candace James is at the helm of Silver Bow as the general manager. Silver Bow Publishing is located in Greater Vancouver, BC, and publishes both poetry and fiction, around 20 to 30 books annually, by both emerging and established international writers. Silver Bow books are available in print retail bookstores and libraries worldwide. If you'd like to purchase a print version of this new release, please contact your local bookstore and ask them to order a copy of the book through Ingram Distribution. The ebook version is available on Amazon. We're excited that General Manager Candace James is here with us, and I'll invite her to speak a little bit about working with the author. Hi, Candace.
Hi, you want me to speak now, do you?
I do.
Oh, God, some people tell me to forever hold my peace, but anyway, it's always a pleasure working with Penn. She's the itinerant writer that is a publisher's dream. She knows what she's doing. She knows how to put it together. She knows how to the care and feeding of her publisher. She's very good at that, and I want to congratulate her on winning the League of Canadian Poets inaugural Lifetime Achievement Award. It's fabulous, Penn. It's really an accomplishment, but you deserve it. And Ordinary Moving, her latest book of poetry, is really a wonderful book. So do yourself a favor and definitely go to a bookstore and order it. You can order it through us, but the most cost-effective way for you to get it is either ordering directly through Penn at a reading or ordering through a bookstore, because Canada Post, for us to mail stuff, is just exorbitant fees. And
Awesome. Thanks, Candace. So glad you can be here today. Poet, performer, and playwright Penn Kemp has long been a keen participant and activist in Canada's cultural life, with more than 30 books of poetry, prose, and drama, 7 plays, and 10 CDs produced, as well as award-winning video poems. The League of Canadian Poets has honored her with the inaugural Lifetime Achievement Award in 2025. Penn has been writer in residence throughout Canada, India, and Brazil, with her work translated into many languages. Her Poem for Peace in Many Voices, for instance, is out in 136 languages. I'll pass things over to you, Penn.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Megan. And thank you, Candace, for making the publishing of Ordinary Moving extraordinary. So that was a feat. I couldn't believe the speed and the actually beautiful book that was created from our collaboration. So a dream publisher. Um, I was very pleased to get that award in support of elder poets, because at the League of Poets, we were kind of thinking that some of us elders were being ignored. And we started a seniors caucus to celebrate elders. I think it's from 50 up, which seems absolutely ridiculous. It should be from, anyway. So I was glad to celebrate all of us elders. I'm really happy that they established that award. I didn't think anything of getting it. I mean, I didn't have any chance of getting it, but I have been publishing and writing for more than 60 years. And I'm only 62. Joke. So the reading itself, though, is dedicated to my darling granddaughter, Ula, who died or was killed by fentanyl when she was 16. And this week she would have been 18. So some of the poems in Ordinary Moving are for her. My heart goes out to my daughter and all those who loved her. She was a very extraordinarily beautiful young woman. Along the line, 9-month-old Ula stands across from her birthplace, braced almost steady in her playpen, and beams as we circle our bellies in the old way, simulating birth, calling down ancestor women, whirling alongside great-grandmother specters who recede in the space of 1 year and reappear in the newborn, in planted memoriam. We sweep legacy in their wake among the black braided women of Tulum. Ocean rhythm, blue sky on white sand, truly croned and crowned grandmother. We circle the lineage of women, daughter to daughter to daughter, drawn again by the weight of love to the spiral dance. And that one is also dedicated to Marianne, who's here. Now, this one is called Belief. And it was written in first when Ula was only 2 or 3. There's a darling picture of her with wings in the sands of Tulum, where she was raised for her first 5 years. And well, the story will reveal itself, but I'm reading it because yesterday we saw 6 pelicans and an egret standing on a log in Fanshawe Lake. First time people have ever seen pelicans here. And the other thing is that when poet laureate for London, the mayor had me read poems for his 12 to 1300 audience for his mayor's breakfast. So I transferred the birds to geese and the river to the Thames. But here we are in Tulum. In the space of a year, she has learned to sit, to stand, to walk, to totter forward in a run. She has seen 1 full round of the seasons. She wraps her family round her little finger. Now, just before dusk, we stroll hand in hand to witness the pelicans' evening beach patrol, gliding over the sea in formation, skimming just overhead, flapping slow time in sync. Ula studies the procedure, dropping my hand to edge forward, neck outstretched, arms aerodynamically angled. She flaps and flaps along the sand, following the pelican's flight, ready for that sudden lift, again, till the last pelican has flown. Dragging her heels home, Ula braces her body against the rising breeze, bewildered that she too can't take off to sky, but game to try again tomorrow. The next poem is Her Orbit of Ellipsis. My granddaughter is going as Wonder Woman for Halloween. She's practiced swinging her lariat of truth, so I'm reading up on Artemis, protectress of young girls, and the archetype for our current Wonder Woman. Arrow to hand, she alights on the mark, drawing her bow on intruders. Artemis herds young Artoi, girls of 8 or so, away from Polis, the city, into wilder woods where she reigns queen. And they, her willing apprentices, stay snared till puberty. Artoi, little bears, they follow their great bear into the chase, and Orion hides the hunter, hunted and flung out to constellation. My granddaughter will go trick or treating and return gleeful with a sack full of eternal returns. Silicon Valley. Do you remember the days when silicon was an element central to sand? The sense of grit between your toes by the river, just beyond the reverberating slap of the old screen against the door jamb where wood never quite met wood and was kept together by hook in eye. It was revolutionary then to discover silicon also sprouted in the segments of scrawny horsetail that surrounded the house as soon as sand met any sort of soil. You'd chew the stalk thoughtfully, its bristle twist into saliva, thinking, dinosaur. This plant alive at that same time, and huge the way the past is. Thrown by a trick of light, projected onto shadow, out of all proportion. Yourself the size of an ant, in a jungle of horsetail, and then the thud of approaching brontosaurus, its jaws dripping green weeds the size of trees. Its wet eye, unable to focus on anything as small as you at the age of 7. We're flipping all over. This is called, I call this memoir in verse. Just, it allowed me to write whatever, collect whatever I felt worked. Christmas at the Equator, 1979. In the dry air of Quito, low moans drawn below resonance attract us to the old zoo. 2 giant sea turtles rise above the dust of their open-air pen. The female squats half buried in leaves, mouth agape, while the male humps, clacking shells over and over her, bellowing as if to call his fellows 500 miles east and 2 miles down to sea level over on the Galapagos Island. Newlyweds giggle by in wedding clothes. My tow-headed children point in wonder at 2 turtle tongues wagging like bell clackers. Ignoring anatomy. I grew up with art all around. My father, a painter, gave me some lessons as I had a quick facility for drawing cartoons, but I was not interested in form. He wanted to teach me skeletal, sculptural aspects of art. I preferred a swift and easy sweep of brush. Though he was an abstract artist, he believed in learning basic craftsmanship. As the critic in him was strong, I switched to writing where I could dictate visual perception into diaries hidden from his eyes, his standards. I could dismiss the importance of appearance. Dad set me drawing a yellow enamel lamp. I objected, too mundane. Why recreate on paper what was plain to see stuck out front? I'd rather be drawing princesses in damask gowns, flowing lines full of pink swirls, folds, and nothing inside. No firm form to follow. Without skeleton, they were mere drapery. But what did I want with bone? No thanks. Give me free floating movement, no body beneath to stop the course of what I didn't know, what might magically appear without precedence. I'd go for the energy pattern, the resonance. My father and the page have disappeared, but the yellow lamp lights my bedside dresser as a reminder, as l'innocent, before I turn it off. I think just because of the Edmontons, I'll read a poem for Peter Puck. He grew up on our street, a few years older and a very bad boy. one concession to go, on walking a literal mile to school and back. When Peter jumped and strode me despite his struggle, he washed my face in snow with a rough leather mitt. Taking his own sweet time, he backed off, grinning at my white mask in triumph. His piece of art, his conquest. "Oh, he likes you," crowed the girls, as if in a chorus from Carousel. Billy, the bad carnival barker. Blindly I scrambled ungainly to my feet. Snow crystals stuck my eyelids shut, cheeks scrubbed aflame and fired with humiliation and fury and some wild foreshadow of desire. In the heavy tangle of limbs, him on top in a play of power. Not fair! I saw red but could not tell, or I'd be told off as a tattletale and or sissy. The grim code of silence held me frozen all winter for half a century, as coldly complicit as snow. My father's father was a champion middleweight boxer. To head off our street bullies, big boys like Peter Puck, my dad taught me how to box. I can really throw a punch. An unexpected left hook beyond what my arm reaches. My first hit landed in the bully's stomach. Instantly, he threw up his half-digested lunch all over his Oxfords. No one threw stone-filled snowballs at me on our long walk through no man's land to our two-room school ever again. I wonder if we could, there's a lot more poems to read, but I wonder if we could change things up a little bit. I'll read one last one. Ordinary Moving, the title poem. Through the seasonal cyclic completion into another, the next with joy, trepidation, and dread. We anticipate another, win some, lose some, looking for wisdom. I have lots more to read if you like, but I'd rather open it up to conversation. And if you don't say anything or ask me anything, then I'll read more. So ask Cole.
Thank you so much for that taste of your new release, Pen. I I loved it. I could see by people's responses and reactions that you just had us really engaged. I would love to invite people to ask some questions. You can, I see Susan is giving a little wave, so maybe we'll start with
Yeah,
Susan.
always talking, always talking. Hi, Pen. The
Yes,
first
sweetheart.
one's about your granddaughter. Just cut my heart open. I'm so glad you could read them and write them. That's hard and I won't say healing, but it's real and deep. And then the other ones that you moved into, they show the vividness of your aliveness, which I always think of when I think of you. So thank you for this gift.
Oh, thank you, Sue. I was saying that there are other poems in the midsection that are actually dealing with present grief that I will read if you like, and there are also other poems of childhood, adolescence, and aging. So just ask which category you'd like and I will read, or ask me about what I have read.
I will just order the book, maybe 2 or 3. I love to hear you read too, but
Brenda Martin has her hand up.
Brenda, we'd love to hear from you. And
Hi,
then,
Penn.
Hi, sweet.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled to hear these poems and as always touched by them. But I have kind of a technical question about your writing in general. So because you have such a delicious these delicious sound poems that you share, and everything just comes across with that attention to the sound, that they lend themselves to being spoken word poems so much. And I'm just wondering, when you start writing, are you driven by one word to create this sound? Or does it just happen? Like, do you intentionally think this is going to be specifically a sound poem? Or, is that how you begin the process? Or does it just happen?
I am driven by sound. I hear, of course, if the poems are thematic, then they're more visual and specific to the image. But in writing, when I'm receiving the poem, it's driven by sound. So it's almost like the words are not yet words. They're articulated. They're not yet articulated. They are just a kind of resonance that shapes itself orally. So they sort of funnel down, and I can hear them clash together, work together, and then a theme emerges. So they're very different kinds of writings. This book, Ordinary Moving, is very visual rather than oral.
Okay.
It's because it's basically storytelling. Each poem is a kind of a story.
You're just so good with even just the use of assonance that I think are, throughout, as I was hearing so many, so much of that beautiful, subtle, not like my ridiculous stuff. So I really enjoyed hearing that in these poems.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm very drawn to. I think I've always loved different languages and what different languages bring out in the speaker. And so sound drives the poems that I really love are sound poems because they don't feel that they come from me. They feel that they are given, and that's a treat.
Thank you.
We have a question in the chat, and then I'll jump over to Harold. And this one's from Jessica. Jessica says, quotes you, coldly complicit as snow. Love the life of sound in your poems. I think we're sensing a theme here. Your sound creates its own atmosphere, its own structure. Your verbs and the incredible movement of the world around you is so vivid. I love the contrast of this word to the title of your current collection. How did you come to the title?
Oh, that's fun. I should have mentioned that. There is, I think I live in the realm of childhood. I live in my parents' childhood, my childhood home. So I also was very keen on reading to my children. And this Ordinary Moving, not that many people outside of London knew this, but it goes like this. It's a girls' game, not a boys' game. And you throw the ball up, or it goes, ordinary moving, one hand, the other hand, one foot, the other foot, etc. Do any of you know that? It goes on and on through various gestures that you have to perform, under your leg and over your leg, and also it gets more complicated. So the titles of many of the poems throughout the book are from Ordinary Moving. So let me see, there's play the game. One foot, the other foot. Each motion opens to a moment, the poem as glimpse into a life. We will all kill ourselves eventually, inevitably. My beloved is diabetic, but sneaks sweet treats, etc. So I just use the lines of the poems to carry me through the whole collection. The lines of the rhyme. Must be local to London on.
That's a really, really cool way to keep that alive, I guess. So now we all know about Ordinary Moving too. We can guess which
You
lines.
can Google it. I had to Google it to get the whole list of instructions. Harold.
Yeah, Harold.
So, Penn, you mentioned the next section picking up different themes. I'm wondering if it's in a different tonal register. I hear so much music in these poems, and the ones you read, they especially the first one, they started with this high E over and over again in the top and front of the head, and then it moved into the ahs coming out of the throat, and then these long O's just moving out in a torrent out of the mouth into the world, and the lips keeping it going with M sounds. And I was just wondering whether the next section started differently and explored this tonal landscape differently, whether that was just the opening palette or whether that continues through the book.
The actual grief poems really deal with the O's and the ahs, the heart as so om ah hum, right? So hum from the heart, ah from the throat, om. Yeah. So can you tell that Harold and I have collaborated a lot? Yeah, we understand each other through sound, and so let me see if I can. Okay. Yeah. Just a child who now never ever will be grown, she who would not her harm a fly, so decided a step. Daughter collided with the law of levity and lost out on a limb or in limbo, love forlorn. Grief is no time for emotion. Grief is no time. Grief is no thing, not a thing, not to wring your hands in vain, in vanitas blame. Wring your hands inside out, rip your ring off. What could you do? What could you have done? What more could you have done? It is done. What is lost cannot now be found, etc., etc. So, yeah. So those poems rely entirely on the moan, the keening. They
I'm
rely
glad I
on long vowels. Yeah.
I'm glad I asked. That was lovely. Thank you, and quite different than the opening. So
Very, yeah,
thanks.
yeah. My pleasure.
And I feel like you have a poem for every occasion. I see a question from Antoinette.
Antoinette wrote this most beautiful review. I don't know where it's going to. We've sent it out. She's to CV2, so we'll see.
There's a question from Jennifer in the chat that I could maybe read right now. And Jennifer says, as an idea-driven person, I'm wondering at what point during your writing process does the idea for your content of a poem appear?
When I'm trying to put them together, it's in my editing phase that the ideas come. I find that if I'm writing poems that are based on ideas, they are best written out as prose for me, because the sound is not carrying them. It's the thrust of the concept. For example, I try writing poems from dreams. I have very vivid dreams, but they make very poor poems
Mm.
because they're basically just images. Um, I know you write very fine poems based vividly in concept, but I they're just they put me back into my mind, whereas I want to be writing from my soul and my heart.
Mm.
I have a question.
Yes. Is that Alan
Um, no,
or
it's Steve.
oh, Steve? Okay, Steve.
Penn, when you are writing, do you normally um, voice everything, or are you writing silently and putting it in on your computer?
I put it in on the computer.
So are you
directly.
voicing it at the same time?
Am I what?
Voicing it at the
Yeah,
same
I
time?
am. I am. I'm talking to
Okay.
myself. Yeah, yeah. I'm hearing it. But um, my writing is so bad now, my handwriting, that it's much more efficient to go directly into the computer. Yeah, it's funny. And because I'm very left-handed, it balances left brain and right brain. So both sides of my brain are working when I'm working directly on the computer. So the handwriting journal pieces that I write are very solipsistic or uninteresting to me when I read them over. They're indulgent, or they're not as crisp or clear.
We have another question from Alan. Alan, yeah, invite you up here.
Hi, Penn. I think I'd rather hear, as much as I'm enjoying the questions and your answers, I hear more of your poems, but I will ask, because I'm curious about the process through which this book, with its 5 sections, unfolded over time. Did you have the idea for the entire book early on, or was it a gradual um, drawing together of different
Um,
sections?
there is where the concept would come in, because I remembered very vividly the lyrics to Ordinary Moving, and that became the structure of the piece. And so the sections fell into the movement of the whole collection. So my editor mind is very different from my writing mind, as you well know. So it just yeah, it came. So I would have a whole lot more poems from each section, but I would choose those which like a string of pearls that would work together.
Well, I am wondering, I mean, I think we'd love to hear a couple more poems from you, Penn. I do see a question from Brenda that I'd love to ask first, though. And Brenda asks, how do you know when a poem is finished?
I rewrite my poems all the time, and I allow them to come out in different versions. So I may consider a poem finished and publish it, or have it published, and then a year or a decade later, it is absolutely shifting a little to suit where I am, or for convenience, like the pelican poem that became the the poem for the geese in the Thames. I had to rewrite that to suit the occasion. Yes.
Hi, it's Pat. Hello.
Hello, my dear.
Hello. This brings me back actually your answer to Alan, that ordinary moving in a sense was a structure for the whole
Mhm.
book,
Yeah.
because I find the title so equalizing.
What do you mean?
Equalizing, like you and your poems and your life, drawing in everybody, ordinary moving. I
Mm.
find it a very rich and appropriate title. I haven't read the book yet because I haven't got it, but it feels right.
Oh, thank you. As you say that, I thought of Bronwyn Wallace's Ordinary Magic,
Oh, yes,
and I certainly love the magic of the ordinary, which is extraordinary, of course.
exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, thank
yeah.
you.
Congratulations.
Mm. If I were to read more without an echo, which section would you like me to read from? It doesn't, the poems that are about grief are not difficult for me to read, so, but they are difficult to hear. So just tell me what you'd like me to read.
Do you want to refresh us on the sections again?
Okay. Um, there's part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. So the first section is my own adolescence. The second section is I will read from a section which I haven't read from at all. Concept of conception, October 1943. Family lore returns me to Halloween at the Gaspé Hotel, where my mother happily feasted with my father upon a salmon so grand it had to be served on an ironing table covered in linen. I've always been fondest of salmon. The curtain closes on the post-nuptial scene until next day when my father returned to his tiny Corvette, tossed about in 40-foot waves to hunt that infamous German submarine haunting the cold Quebecois coast. When I arrived 9 months later as a breech who turned herself around in Mum's 54-hour-long labor, my father was out of touch, spending the bank holiday at the Lord Mayor of London's country house, shooting grouse. And then I go, my son, Jake, was conceived on Halloween as well. So I go into his conception, just what you want to hear. All Hallows. We've celebrated Halloween. We've drunk and danced and heard a guitar nimbly played. Midnight after the party, close to the time of year we first met, and time to celebrate Saturday night. Little trick-or-treaters have long since left for home. Our masks are back in the wall once more. I am lying on our double bed with my husband deep inside me. Soon he rolls out and off with satisfied groan, now deepening into snore. But I, between those soft sheets, do not sleep, for there, before my wide open eyes, cumulus clouds collect somewhere just below the ceiling in another nearly here dimension from a Renaissance painting by Raphael that should properly be hanging now in the Uffizi, not our suburban flat. This palimpsest is fading. I have lost my own memory in contemplating art. Substitution has set in. Realities clash. Return to that long ago present, nearly here, and attempting to get even nearer. Mind the gap. No loitering allowed between All Saints' Eve and All Saints' Day. Something new slips in, slips up and undercover. Between the sheets, a sly slice of future parachutes down to land here on fertile common ground, just when nature is ready to rest in 6 months' sleep. Samhain, summer's end, winter's start. The Celts called this most magic cusp, when all our dead return to be feasted and hungry ghosts hover to sip through straws. The Celts' New Year begins in deepest dark, with all potentiality present and possible. Let us scry through obsidian to clear day. Fairyland doors open on this night. Any manner of beings can slip through. Either way, at the birth of a new month, November, penultimate of this long stretching year, 1969. Time has not yet speeded up. Halloween. I return again and again to the scene where you descended. You dropped in from the clouds, determined, cherub, climbed off the wall of your plaster molding. Like all the toys who aspire to flesh and bone, you wanted in, and you are welcomed with astonishment that I though I don't as yet know you. I'm a quarter of a century old, and I've long been waiting and wanting this moment fulfilled, this annunciation. As the clouds roll, as the clouds billow, they shape themselves into a myriad of cherubs beaming down, plump-cheeked, toddlers on a roll, cupids with a gleam in their eyes so intent on getting into this womb that lies open before them like a red welcome blanket, a baby blanket, a gift of life they'd gladly take. Why, I can't tell. I can just determine the yearning for new form, for flesh, for beginning all over. Clouds roll, clouds tussle. A shake-up in heaven reveals one dominant shape, a shape that solidifies into a specific face. This cherub is mine as I am his. He has chosen with the ferocity of a Cupid's dart. His aim is sure. He already has my heart, and now he enters my womb, home for the next 9 months, nearly 10 to be precise, but who's counting those long, hot August nights that await me? The clouds roll back as on a chateau ceiling to reveal blue day as new harmonies of light. Triumphant paeans blare praise to the winds. Others recede into wisps of might have beens, turning to search elsewhere for nests where they too might burrow. This one has won. He who is about to be child has descended. No doubt as to his being, he is the one constant. I see this child as he would be when turning 2. The wide brow, the fair hair, the cheeky grin, and cunning Cupid's bow. More than that, the roads diverged, and I saw what he might be, what he might become. 3 roads, 3 different ways. I have told my son once he was grown and had already lived out 2 of the ways. But these I cannot divulge you, reader. Wombs may gape, clouds may pour, but the rest is his story to tell.
Thanks for that one, Penn.
Mhm.
We have a request that you read a poem called Translation on page 23.
Okay, I like that poem. And Dennis Siren, a marvelous videographer, that poem is in a near memoir as well. And if you Google Dennis Siren, Dennissisiren, and Penn Kemp and translation, he has done the most astonishingly beautiful video poem of that. So what page is it on?
23, I think.
Translation. I used to prime my father's canvases by painting them white with gesso in a binder mixed with chalk and gypsum, preparing each surface for his acrylics, for that color saturation from pure primaries and their complement down to muted neutral hue. Now I wait with paper's white space until words arise, images in words. I watch them come into form, specific entities with their own character and personality, ready to burst off the page into life still. I'll read this next one too, because it's just so much fun. When dignitaries visit, several elderly, that's all in print, of course. When dignitaries visit, several elderly painters in the group of 7 came to my parents' parties. Dad, a practical joker, had me, at 10 years old, serve them cocktails, and for nibblies, chocolate-covered grasshoppers. Identity undisclosed until my tray was empty. No one asked for seconds. But the rush was on to fill those empty glasses in a flurry of coughs I fear would kill them. In the 50s, they'd be in their 70s, ancient and frail as crickets. I like reading that one. I remember it so well. I remember the MacDonald and Casson, just their sheer horror at these chocolate-covered grasshoppers. It was a fad at the time in 1954.
It's horrifying, but as a kid, I'm sure I would have tried them.
I
My
didn't
pa-
try them, I
my
just served them.
my parents did the same kind of thing. They served dried grasshoppers in particular and other stuff. It was a fad. You're right.
Mm.
Well, I've really, really enjoyed being with you. It's so much fun to see all of you. And if anybody has anything more to say, please turn on your computers so I can, or your video so I can actually see you. There's Jessica, there's Caroline, hi. There's Ola, I'm just saying hi to everybody. Diana, Ellen, Bill, yes, there you are. Anything you'd like to say, Bill?
I just thank you for your wonderful reading. It's just lovely to hear your mischievous voice.
It goes through the gamut, doesn't it?
It
Bill
does.
is another composer and musician who I adore to collaborate with. And John Magyar, who's here, has recorded many of the CDs. And there's Daphne, my dear.
Well, maybe what I'll do is I will just say one more time how much Will enjoyed being here. And thank you, Penn, for bringing such energy to all of the readings and answering all the questions.